So this is 3B, and we're looking at the second part now where we're actually going to create the style sheet. So we've created our website folder and area where things are going to be, and now we're going to create the external style sheet. Now this is a bit of a pain again, it's not the most easy thing to follow. You need the CSS editor, so that one's straightforward. But this is now where it gets a little bit awkward. So we select the fact that we're going to use an internal style sheet to start with, but of course we want this to be an external one. That means it's going to be a separate file. So rather than being within a web page file, it will be a separate file, and each web page will make reference to that separate file. So what we need to do then is click on this drop down arrow here and select linked style sheet, because it's going to be one that we link to. We then get this option here where we can create the style sheet. So I'll click on create, and now we have to go back to internal style sheet, and we now get this new option because it's a linked one. So we're going to export it to the file name that we want it to be. So I'm going to export it, and there's our web page. Or we'll need to sort that out because it's got two HTMLs in it, but that won't be an issue. And we'll call this lamplighters.css. CSS for cascading style sheet, and we'll click on save. So now that we've done that, if we click on OK and look at our website again, we should see we now have a new file. There it is, lamplighters.css within there. Now whilst you weren't watching, I've renamed this back to index.html. So if we now go back to our style sheet area, we can start creating all the different styles that are required, and this is quite straightforward to do to actually create them. We just click on this button here and we type in here what we want them to be called. Well, these ones are going to be what are called divs. They're custom styles, but they start with a full stop. If I start putting a full stop in, it will change it here to this class style. So we're going to have margin, create style rule, and then we'll do another one of navigation, and we just keep going through until we've got them all done. So we'll have banner, and then we've got title and content. Now the next ones are paragraph and headings. So to do a paragraph one, we're going to select from our drop down list, and there is paragraph, so that will allow us to create that one, and it will be the same for headings, so I'm going to do that. Now something that's worth noting at this stage is that, oh, I've pressed the wrong button. Now that happens, it's easily done. If you notice, that hasn't created the heading style. What you have to do, and it's quite annoying, is you have to remember not to click on OK, but to click on create style rule. This paragraph style, that's what the question has asked. It's asked us to use one called paragraph. But when we actually go to create the website, it means we have to keep changing the font to paragraph, which isn't an issue. You may find it useful to create another one called body, which is the default text that will be used. We can set that up to be exactly the same as paragraph. Now we also need these hyperlinks. Now this question asks you to include hyperlinks. In another question in the real coursework, you might not be asked to set up the hyperlinks, but it is actually necessary, because if you've got a dark background, you need to make sure that your hyperlinks aren't going to be the normal blue and purple colour. So what we do for this is we just create them as a:link and a:visited. So one for when you've looked at when you haven't seen the, let's just type that in first, when you haven't seen the hyperlink, and one when you have visited the hyperlink. Now the process is going through and setting up what each of these styles is going to look like. So we'll start with the margin, and we'll look at its size. So if we go to box, you can see here, this is where we get the option for size. Now we want to do it in pixels, and it's going to be 800 pixels wide, and our height is going to be 20 pixels. So if I select pixels here and I'll put in 20, then we've got to look at what the background color is going to be, and it tells us that that background color should be hash 000099. There we go, that's that dark blue color it was looking for. Now this time I can click on OK, or I can just well, if I do click on OK, it will come out of it, or I can just go into the next one. But what we're going to do is we are going to do that. Okay, so you can see it loses it and we have to go back in again. So you do exactly the same then for navigation, banner, title and content, and then what you'll do is you'll see that they all appear here. Then for our paragraph, also for content one though, it's slightly different if we have a look, because we're still going to have a width of 800 pixels, but we don't know how long it's going to be, so we leave that undefined. And of course the background color is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be CCFFFF, which is that light blue color. Now if we look at the paragraph style, this time we're not looking at backgrounds or anything, we're looking at what it's actually going to look like. So we're told Comic Sans 18 pixels. So if we go to text, we can choose Comic Sans from our custom font family here, and if we scroll down we should find it. There we go. And we're told that it should be 18 pixels, not points. Okay, so this is 18 pixels. So we'll select 18 pixels. That sets that font there. And then we can do a similar thing for H1. H1 is going to be 40 pixels. It's also going to be Comic Sans. But this time we're told that headings will also be bold. So we'll select the bold option here from the font weight. And we're also told that the color will be white. Now that's important because it's going to be on that dark background, the heading is, so we'll select that white there. Body you'll set up the same as P. We'll have a look at A-Link, and you can do A visited on your own. So A-Link, our color is going to be this hash FFFF00, so I'm just following exactly what it says here. It's still going to be Comic Sans because they're all Comic Sans. The pixels will be 18 px. Don't forget the px because otherwise it won't work. Comic Sans. We set our color and we need to set it to be underlined as well. So we do underline, and then you'll do A visited, and that will have set up all of your styles, and then it's just going to be about showing evidence that they actually exist.